Hello, everybody. We are on the second last session of the day here. We've got a excellent presentation coming up here from Jonathan Winbush. Jonathan has sent over a video for us today, but just to give you a quick introduction for Jonathan, Jonathan is a multi-award-winning motion graphics artist based out of Southern California. Today, he'll be giving a breakdown of how he created NFTs with Method Man, pretty cool, the Wu-Tang Clan, and how that transformed them into building out a metaverse called the MEFaverse. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and introduce Jonathan and his video.
What up? Winbush here. And today I'm excited to show you guys my project that I did with Method Man of the Wu-Tang Clan. Now I'm going to get started by showing you guys my workflow, how I went from Xsens into using a couple of programs to create the original NFT that sparked this whole project. And then I'm going to take you into the metaverse part of it, in which we call the MEFaverse. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So to get started, let me actually show you the original NFT that sparked this whole project. Now, I created this project using a whole plethora of different programs. I started off with my Xsens suits, of course, did the motion capture, went into a program called Character Creator to create Method Man and his likeness. And then I brought all that together inside of iClone, where I combined the motion capture data and the Method Man character. From there, brought it into Unreal Engine, built out my scene, brought it into After Effects for the final output. So let's get started with the first step. So before we got started, I had to get a sign off from Method Man on his character. He wanted to create a superhero character because he's a big comic book fan. He actually runs the official podcast for Marvel, which is really dope. And I'm a comic book head myself. And so we got the brainstorming. I thought it'd be cool to make a character of his likeness that kind of resembled like Luke Cage with his bust and how strong he is. And then have the mysteriousness of a character like Moon Knight. And so I started to put some sketches together, and I actually got his headshot, and I was able to use his likeness to be his superhero character, in which I'm using Character Creator 3, as I'm going to show you right here. So I have Character Creator 3 opened right now. This is one of the renders that I did for some of the promo stuff. But as you can see, I actually have Method Man's headshot because he's been in a ton of TV shows and movies and whatnot. So it was easy to get a headshot from him that I could use to sculpt out this character. And let me actually come down here up to, what is it, content, and let me change the lighting on this so we can see it a little bit better. So I'm gonna come back down here so we can see his likeness compared to the CG likeness that we have in here. So if I scroll in all the way in on the character, you can see the face is pretty much identical. I was able to add all the hair and everything inside of Character Creator, as well as put the clothing on him using some of the assets from the marketplace. And then from there, I sent over a few poses of this character to Method Man. We went through a couple of color schemes, as you see here inside some of the style frames. They picked the one that they liked, and then we went off to the races on doing the motion capture. So as you see in this footage here, I'm doing some motion capture, walking slowly towards the camera, putting my leg up on a chair, because the whole sense of this scene was something like Batman. You know, when Batman's overlooking Gotham City, he's overlooking the edge. You can see the bat symbol behind him. I thought it'd be cool to resemble something like that, because we could have Method Man overlooking New York City, which is our city inside the metaverse. So I thought it'd be cool to tie those different kind of familiar traits together. And I have to give a big shout out to Gabby, aka Feeding Wolves, that helped me walk through the process when I first got started using this. So big shout out to Gabby. Make sure you follow her on YouTube as well. But to carry on, I'm inside the MVN software. I have my motion capture offset there. And so the next stage from here is basically exporting it out. But before we do that, we want to go through and we want to do some HD processing, which will kind of clean everything up. Now, this is a simple move, and I compensated for everything. I had my arms at a certain length, and then I made sure not to cross, any type of sensors or anything like that. So the cleanup was super simple. It's able to handle it inside the program and everything, which was cool. And then from there, we just export out the FBX data, and then we're going to bring that into iClone. So right here, I'm using iClone. This is a program by iIllusion. And as you can see, let me actually make my viewport a little bit longer or a little bit larger so that we can see everything here. But let me actually go through my timeline here. So let me start at the beginning. I'm going to hit play. It's running in real time. So you see Method Man, he's walking up to the ledge. He looks down, puts his knee up on the thing, puts his hand up there, and then he just starts looking around. We have the music playing and everything in the background. The Method Man symbol is going to come up from behind him. And this is pretty much the animation there. And so as you can see down here inside of my timeline, and actually let me see if I can make this a little bit larger here. So I'm going to fit my timeline window like so. And so you can see that I have different keyframes down here. And it's because I wanted to change some of the keyframes on some of the movements there on Method Man. So if I go to this one right here, like my original chair, it was only but so high. And so I wanted to raise the knees up because the ledge is quite high. I think it came up to about the waist level or something like that. So I was easily able to manipulate the keyframe all within iClone here. And so to do that, you would just come over to Pose Offset. And then you would just start laying some keyframes. Like you see, we have a mannequin here. I could pretty much just select a different part of the leg. So let's start with the thigh maybe. And then as I raise this up, you can see that it's moving it up and down. So I just went through the different joints and laid some keyframes. As you can see, not too many. I did the same thing with the hand and everything as well. But that was pretty much it for, going through and not really doing cleanup, but just manipulating my motion capture there to kind of do what I want. So from here, I would export out this motion capture data out of iClone, and then I would bring it into Unreal Engine. For this particular project, I opted to use Unreal Engine 5 just so I could take advantage of all the new technology with the nanite and the lumen and all the bells and whistles involved. And so as you can see right here, I have Unreal Engine 5 open. This is a simple scene that I have built out. And what's cool about it is I built the scene based around my camera angle. Like I animated the camera first, and then I started building the set pieces around it because I didn't want to worry about too much geometry in my scene. Basically, I just worried about what was in the camera. So if I go and start navigating, like let me actually select my character so I can pull back a little bit, you can see that we have some city buildings in here. I have them lit so we could take advantage of the lumen, kind of lighting on a building and everything like that. But you can see that the city isn't looking like a regular city grid. Basically, I just placed the buildings where I needed to be inside the camera. So if I actually look through my camera, and you can see, let me actually play this through. So we have the camera moving up. You see Method Man walk towards, put his foot on the ledge. And then right there, that's where the beat and everything would come in as well. But as you can see, basically the buildings that we see in camera is all I was worried about. So it was easy to use some of the Megascans assets within my Unreal Engine 5 scene here. I was using the nanite objects, so I didn't really have to worry about level of detail or anything like that. Since this is going to be a cinematic render and not within the gameplay, I didn't have to worry about any of that stuff at all. And so from here, basically I would render everything out. Let me actually play this through again for you guys, just so you guys can see it. So we have the camera slowly moving up. We have auto movements and everything in here. And again, this all came from iClone. But as you saw inside the NFT, I actually had some of the lights, going with the music. I had Method Man's symbol as if it was a bat symbol behind him and everything. And we don't have all that in Unreal. What I opted to do was actually render this out with the alpha channel so that I could bring in the After Effects to add all the bells and whistles, because I still like doing my compositing and everything inside of After Effects. So let me actually open up that project and give you a breakdown on how everything ended up in the end. So here we are, we're inside the latest version of After Effects. You can see I have my final composition all laid out here. And so I can actually break down some of these files for you guys just so you can see how it's broken down. And I rendered this out as vertical so it can fit inside of a picture frame if somebody wanted a digital frame. So I'm actually going to clean this up a little bit for you guys. Let me drag some of this stuff over so that we can see it better. Apologies again for how small it is because it is vertical instead of horizontal. But let me see if I can scroll down here instead of my timeline. It just kind of go through the frames one by one for you guys. And so I have all my backdrop stuff down here. I'm just going to solo these out so you can see them. And so I have basically like a star field here. I have the Method Man symbol here, and this is all audio reactive. I don't think it's going to play through because these layers are pretty heavy. This is about like 4K. And so, yeah, it's not going to play through there, but I could go through one by one and kind of just show you how all these layers stack on. So you can see I have the cloud effects. I have some blur effects because I want to do like a camera blur there for the background. And then this is going to add the foreground of the scene and everything. I have this inside of a pre-comp because I did some color correcting to it and everything like that. And then from there, we're going to add some of the lighting, which is audio reactive as well. I'm using a program called Audio React. And so I have my beat down here somewhere in my scene. There we go, right here. And so I have all the different lights and everything and the scale of the Method Man logo reacting to the beat, which adds a lot more production value to the final scene. A lot of people love the way that how everything interacted with the music because this is essentially a music artist using an NFT. And so to keep going, I have some more lighting effects in here, which you can see everything just dimmed out. We added some shadows and everything. We're going to add a little bit of reflection, not too much. And then from there, we're just going to add some fog effects and everything. I'm going to add some more lighting to the Lux right here, which you can see down here. So I wanted to make the light look like it's coming up and kind of come in front of them as well, because we have some street lights down there. And then just some color correcting and some grunge on top. And this is the final result that we came out to. And so again, this is what the final version looks like. And then at the end of the day, we ended up putting the piece up on foundation, in which we started the bid low at about 1/8 because we wanted all the fans to be able to go in and bid on a piece. We actually had like a high bid that was offered to us, but Method Man turned it down. He wanted it to be for the fans because we had a special surprise for everybody that bid on this piece, of which I could show you here in a moment. But this is what it looked like on foundation. Again, it's vertical, just in case the winner of the auction actually wanted this piece as a portrait file, we could offer that to them as well. But yeah, that's the project there at the end of the day. And so as I alluded to before, this is something that we didn't tell the fans that they were going to get. Everybody that bid on a piece, he wanted to send a special NFT as a thank you for bidding on the piece. And so what we did was we airdropped, it's called the MEFaverse token, which is a token that I used this character inside of Unreal Engine. And I actually did the posing and everything within Xsens. Let me actually show you guys what the MEFaverse token looks like. So with this token, it's not only a free NFT, but it allows you to have extra experiences within the MetaVerse, which is our version of the Metaverse. And so in there, we're going to have some live performances from Method Man. We're working on putting games and everything in there, and we do have the infrastructure that is currently playable. So let me actually give you guys a glimpse of what we've been working on within our Metaverse. But first, I'm going to play a few trailers for you guys just so you guys can kind of see the stuff that we're working on. And then I'm going to give you guys a live demonstration of what our Metaverse looks like. But before we dive into our metaverse, let me actually show you the token that it's going to take to get inside the metaverse. And so based off our NFT, remember that I said Method Man wanted to be a superhero, and that wasn't by mistake, that was by design, because at the end of the day, we wanted to create a comic book / graphic novel that we're going to put out in the physical world and inside the metaverse. And so we worked on a script, we came up with a whole plethora of different characters, and we thought it'd be cool to create those characters as a PFP project. And so if you go to OpenSea, you can actually see here, we have about 1,700 sold right now. And if you scroll through, all these different characters are characters within our comic book here. And so all the different characters have their own individual traits. You'll never have a character that's going to have the same stuff as somebody else. Every character is unique. And you can even see I'm in there as well. You got a Winbush character in there as well, which is dope. I'm actually in the comic book as well as Ray Acosta. He's the CMO of Woo Music. But you scroll down, you can see we have Cliff, which is the everyday version of Method Man. And so it's kind of like Superman, how you have Clark Kent and then you have Superman. In our graphic novel, we have Cliff, which is Method Man as his everyday self. And then we have Method Man, which will be the superhero. So the Method Man is a rare PFP that you could get. I think only 2 have been sold so far, but there's a bunch of Cliffs out there as well. And you can see he has some really cool traits. We have some swords in here with a spray can and everything else. And so to be able to get inside the MetaVerse, you just have to own one of these PFPs. And once you do, all you have to do is connect your MetaMask to the metaverse and you're able to jump in. And as you can see from some of these sketches that we have from our 2D artist, Doodle Dave, we have all the characters all laid out for within the comic book. And so we use these sketches from Dave to create the final results for our PFP project. So this is the MetaVerse. This is our online metaverse. We are currently working with our partners at LeapIn to create this. And so I'm going to give you guys a peek at the latest thing we've been working on within our metaverse called the B game. So to get started, I actually have a character select screen here. And this is all temporary right now. We're going to have a build your own character creator. But for now, we have some temp avatars in here. And as you can see, at the bottom here, we do have Method Man, but we can't select him because Method Man himself often goes in here. So anytime you see Method Man within a metaverse, that is actually him using it. So you're not able to select these. If you do come in here, that's only for Method Man. And so I'm going to start with this character right here. I'm just going to actually name him Winbush. And I'm going to click on play. And you can see now we're within a dungeon, and this is all with underneath New York City. So let me actually use my keyboard here, and it's WASD, just like any other video game that you would have played out there. I'm going to explore a little bit. Let me actually see if I can find my way out of the dungeon, because I want to show you guys the city first, and then I'm going to take you guys to the B game. So this is actually hidden underneath one of the waterfalls, in which you can see I have my character swimming under here right now. But let's walk around the city first for a little bit before we start playing out the game. So I'm just going to walk over here a little bit. You can see we have a basketball court. We're going to start working on basketball mechanics so you guys can play pickup games and everything within here. Let me keep walking around the park around here. And so this is pretty much just like, a hangout spot like you would be in downtown New York. Like this will be something like Central Park. We're actually going to have chessboards in here. Like if you've ever been to Central Park in New York, you know that there's a bunch of chessboards laying around for people to play chess and checkers and stuff like that. So we are going to have that built out in here as well. But let me actually get to the fun part, which would be the game. So I actually see somebody else in here just kind of hanging out right there, which is funny. We see somebody here in the demo, but I'm not going to talk to him yet. I'm going to actually go under the waterfall where we have our hidden dungeon. So again, I'm going to swim over here within the waterfall like so. And there we go. So now I'm inside this cavern here. And this is where you can find one of our games. And so we have our games hidden throughout the metaverse because we wanted to create an experience where people are kind of talking online and building FOMO, like, hey, did you check out that game? And people are like, where's it at? And it's kind of one of those things that you want them to kind of go in and find. But for me, I know exactly where it's at. So I'm just going to take us directly to it. Or you think I would know where it's at? All right, there we go. So for this game in particular, you want to find the chalice. And once you're here, it will say E for pickup. So I'm going to hit E on my keyboard. It's going to go to a cutscene here. So he picks up the chalice. He starts to like fall into like a drunken state, and then that's going to load up our next game, which is called the B game. So I'm just going to give us a moment to load. So now we're going to start off with the cutscene. I'm going to let the cutscene play out, and then we're going to get into the game mechanics. You can see that's the end goal right there. That's what we're trying to get to. And then that villain that you saw, or that little ship you saw at the beginning, those are actually going to try to stop us from getting over there. And so you're going to see the gameplay mechanics here. And hopefully I can beat it for you guys while I'm here. If not, I'll just play the trailer for you guys so you guys can see what happens at the end. But we have some instructions there. So F for hover mode, fast flight, WASD for movements, spacebar up and down. So let's get to it. So I'm going to start the hover here. Crawl on the ground first. Oh, now I'm starting to get shot at. I got killed already. Let me give it one more go. Let me see if I can get through this for you guys. So I'm going to actually fast forward through this cutscene real quick. All right, let's go. So I'm actually going to take the high road this time. See if I can get through here. Let me see if I can get to that checkpoint without getting shot. Oh, all right. Now I'm starting to get shot at. Let me see if I can get through here. So this is extremely challenging because we didn't want to make it easy. We wanted people to keep playing through this. So you can see, yeah, I'm getting blasted. So I'm actually going to play the trailer for you guys so you guys can see what happens at the very end. And you know what? Since we have a little bit of time, let me give you a sneak peek at the exclusive one-on-one NFT I'm going to be dropping with Coinbase here in June. And so this is actually going to be a part of a three-piece series. This one in particular, I'm using Method Man. He's going to be riding on a motorcycle leaving New York City. And so for the motion capture for this, you can actually see me here. I'm sitting down in the chair. I'm using the broom as the motorcycle handles because we have Method Man. He's going to be on a motorcycle leaving out the city. So without further ado, I'm actually going to play this within Unreal Engine 5 for you guys, but I can't show you guys the final piece yet. But here's a preview running live inside of Unreal Engine 5. And there you have it. That's a sneak peek of what's coming next. Still working on this one, but it's going to be dropping on Coinbase this June. And one last surprise that I have for you guys. Now, I'm actually working on an NFT album with Mixmaster Mike of the Beastie Boys. If you don't know, me and Mixmaster Mike, we go way back. We worked on VR projects back in the day. We put out a one-of-one NFT last year on Super Rare, and we're coming back again. We're going to be doing a drop on One Of. And so I'm actually putting Mixmaster Mike inside the window suit because he is the world's fastest DJ. But don't take my word for it. Here's Mixmaster Mike actually performing within their window suit for our next project.
To perform our next selection,
Mixmaster Mike.
nobody can do it like Mixmaster can. Come on, with just three MCs and one DJ, and we can get down with no other. Mixmaster Mike, what you got to say? Mixmaster, Mixmaster, Mixmaster.
So that's all I have for you guys. I want to thank you guys again for sitting through my presentation. I went through everything from showing you the inception of how me and Method Man started working with the first one we dropped on Foundation, gave you a glimpse into what we're working with on the MEFaverse, which is our metaverse. And then I also gave you a glimpse into what I'm going to be working on with Mixmaster Mike and the Beastie Boys. So hopefully you guys have some good questions for me after this. I'm going to stick around to answer whatever questions you guys have. But also make sure you follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/Jonathan Winbush. I did receive the Epic Mega Grant recently. And so I'm going to be putting together a course absolutely free for people that want to get started using Unreal Engine 5. And so I'm going to be covering everything from the basics to being able to render out a cinematic scene at the very end. So again, make sure you follow me on youtube.com/Jonathan Winbush. And until next time, stay fresh, keep creating, and I'll catch you guys soon. But yeah, I'm actually going to be taking some questions here. So I guess I'll be seeing you guys right now.
All right. Jonathan, how you doing, man?
Good, good. You hear me?
Can hear you good. Can hear you good.
Ah,
Awesome
perfect.
video. Thank you so much for sending that over. That was really cool to watch.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Got some questions here. I'm going to kick it over to Thomas for the first one.
Yep.
Yeah, so Jonathan, awesome presentation. So the
Thank
first
you.
question we have for you, how did you go from motion graphics to integrating with motion capture in your projects? Are you able to influence your 3D work at all with your motion graphics background?
Yeah, so as people are saying, like I'm a motion graphics artist by day. So like I do a lot of main title work and CG work for movies and television. And all the tools are exactly the same that I use in motion graphics for a lot of motion capture work. So I'm using programs like Cinema 4D, After Effects, Unreal Engine most recently. And so I'm able to take that motion capture data that I'm capturing within the Xsens suite and easily bring those over to any 3D application that I use on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, very cool. Thank you.
Awesome. We've got another question here. Do you have an intended audience for the MetaVerse, such as age or type of player, or is it supposed to be meant to be accessible for everyone?
Yeah, so we kept it very G-rated, so it could be accessible to everybody. Like, if anybody's followed like the Wu-Tang's philosophy from the very beginning, like they're all into like comics, they're into skateboarding, video games, like everything that is super nerdy that's kind of popular today. They were like rapping about it, a decade and a half ago. And so with their culture that they've kind of encompassed over the years with their audience and everything, they try to be inclusive as much as possible with everybody. And so when we came up with the Metaverse, like we didn't want any type of like, drug paraphernalia, no cussing, none of the stuff that would be off-putting to someone if they wanted to share this with their children or their family or anything. So we're keeping it as open as possible so everybody can come and enjoy it.
Very good. Good answer. We have another question here from Philip. Philip asks, first of all, he says, big fan. And he also asks, what have you found works when trying to fix that thumb issue, the real-time thumb issue in iClone?
Yeah, so again, I know I said shout out to Gabby earlier, but she's been a huge help with me, figuring some of the stuff, as well as Shardell over at Menace. And so I actually planned on doing a tutorial on this, but I've been doing motion capture cleanup within Unreal Engine 5. And so I found that being able to keyframe the stuff in 5, just being able to actually manipulate the joints and everything is become very easy. Like sometimes I use iClone just for smaller stuff, but for stuff like the finger tracking and like the thumb issue, definitely doing that in Unreal 5. Excuse me. Yep.
Very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Another question we have here. Awesome project. I saw your unboxing video of the Xsens suit. What is your experience like so far, and can you compare it to any other systems?
Yeah, 100%. I've been loving it since day one. Like, I don't want to say any other systems by name, but by far, the Xsens suit has performed way beyond my expectations. Like, I think in the very first video, I was doing stuff, like even walking up steps, which I haven't been able to do in the past. Jumping onto an air mattress and having it keep all the sensors are staying on par with my movements and everything. And I even did most recently a video of me walking on my treadmill, doing like incline and doing running and everything else, and it 100% held up. So this is probably the best suit that I've tried out thus far, and yeah, big shout out to you guys because I put it through its paces and it's really been holding up.
We appreciate the shout out. Thank you. Glad to hear that it's working out pretty well as well. No issues there. So actually, I have a question for you. We have a couple more from the chat, but I wanted to ask a little bit about the process that you went through creating the MetaVerse with Method Man. Obviously, that's a big undertaking, big name. Can you talk
Yeah.
to us a little bit about the creative process that you two went through, deciding what you wanted to build this MetaVerse as and model it after, and things like that?
Yeah, so after we did the first NFT with Method Man as a superhero looking over New York City, we started talking about how can we expand this even more and even further. And we came up with the idea of we're all into comics. Why don't we release a comic book, just on Web3? And it's like people have done that before, and it's like, okay, making a comic book is cool, but how can we take it one step further? Like, how can we have people actually interacting within our comic book? And so we wrote out the script. We have volume 1 of the graphic novel finished. And, we had about, I want to say 21 characters in there, all laid out. We have all the different locations and everything. And we were like, it would be cool if people could actually go to these locations, like Method Man as the, like his everyday self. He works in a comic book shop. And so it's like we have the comic book shop within our metaverse that you could go in, check out some of the comics from himself and some of the other people we selected to be in there. We have like a skateboard park, which is inside the graphic novel. So basically, when a graphic novel comes out, everything that's in that graphic novel, you've already realized within the metaverse. And so we're just trying to figure out like cool ways to kind of bring all these mediums together and just get people, excited about something new that they haven't seen before.
Very good. And actually, a question relating to your NFT. Was it hard to set up? That would be the question we had here from the chat.
As into like uploading it and everything like that, or like in what regards?
Good question. Didn't get a whole lot other than was it hard to set up your NFT?
Very
Um,
open-ended.
Yeah, I mean, well, they might mean like getting it onto Web3, right? In which the platform that we decided to release our first NFT on is Foundation, which everything is pretty self-explanatory. Like once you get onto the platform, you could just upload your project, whether it's a still file or if it's a movie. And I believe they even take straight audio files, but all the smart contract work is done on their back end. So all you have to do is basically worry about putting your descriptions up, make sure your artwork looks good, because I think it's like a 50 megabyte limit and everything, but all the programming and stuff is handled on their end. So in those regards, it's as simple as just uploading like you would do to like Vimeo or YouTube or something like that.
Thank you very much. I think that's a great explanation there. And guys, if you would like further information about any of these stuff, any of these topics we're discussing, how to set up an NFT, anything like that, Jonathan, where can people reach you?
Yeah, my number one spot would be on YouTube, of course. So youtube.com/Jonathan Winbush. I'm very active on Twitter these days because that's where a lot of NFT talk is happening. So same thing, twitter.com/Jonathan Winbush. And then my email is open as well. So if you go to jonathan@winbushimmersive.com, you can always reach me by email if I can't, get back to you on DMs or anything like that.
Awesome. Couple more questions here. One is, how would outside artists participate in the MetaVerse, adding characters, etc.? At this early stage, do you need assets?
Yeah, so we're actually working on a character creation where you can actually create your character like you're playing a Grand Theft Auto or something like that. So if you want to build out your own character, that's something that's coming soon. If you follow the MetaVerse on Twitter, we often put out posts for people that do create art and assets. Like if they want to have them implemented within our metaverse, then we're always taking assets and stuff. Like we've had a few comic book artists that wanted to have like their poster art within our comic book shop. And so we've been taking that stuff and bringing it in. We've had a few graffiti artists like all around the world actually like making huge murals on walls and then taking pictures and videos of that. And we actually been putting that graffiti within our skate park. And so if there's stuff that you guys have out there, we would love to include it. And then every Wednesday night as well, like if you're a musician or like a spoken word artist, we do have open mic every Wednesday on the MetaVerse account on Twitter. And so we've been just holding like open mic sessions to let people come up and perform. We've had judges like Method Man himself has been in a few sessions. We've had Mook, who is the vice president of Wood Music. We've had special other artists come in and judge and kind of give advice to aspiring music artists. So yeah, there's a whole plethora of ways that you guys could kind of bring in your assets or, just, talk with the team and stuff.
That is super cool. I love the idea of the open mics and things like that. The artists taking pictures of their graffiti and having that into the MetaVerse. That's and transported into the MetaVerse. That's very cool. One more question here for you. Mixmaster Mike, Method Man, all of these are big, awesome, cool names. Who's next? Is there anybody else on the radar you'd like to include?
Was recently hit up by Flying Lotus. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Flylo, but actually I put him in touch with you guys because he has a series out on Netflix. He has an animated series of the first Black Samurai. It's really, really dope. I want to say he's working on a film right now, and it includes a lot of motion capture. So I was talking back and forth with him, put him in touch with you guys directly, but you never know. Maybe that's something I jump on as well.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thomas, are there any other questions that you had from chat? I think I got all of them, but figure I'd toss it over to you real quick.
Looks like one more from Remco. He was asking if you have an ETA on your comic.
We are currently vetting some of the comic artists. Like we've been looking for layout artists and then colorists and things of that nature. So hopefully by summer, we're hoping to release it. We have a big announcement coming up for NFT NYC this June that should be coming out within a couple of days here. But yeah, the comic probably mid to late summer.
Fantastic.
What up, Remco?
Awesome. Jonathan, thank you so much for the time. The presentation was fantastic. Really good questions and answers.
Thank
Folks,
you.
if you have any, like Jonathan said, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to him on his socials.